So one of the piping hot questions floating around is, will AI replace programmers? So here's my take on it. I will not put out any biased views over here, but let me talk about it in a very rational, very realistic way. So before we understand AI, like before we answer this question, we need to understand how we advance as a species, how humans have advanced over time. So what we can very clearly see that there is a pattern that we advance with technology. Now this technology is not just coding or programming. Technology is anything that has made our lives simpler. We typically offload boring and tedious and repetitive and mundane tasks to machines or to animals, right? For example, walking was tedious. We built bicycles. Hunting got tedious, got repetitive. We started agriculture and domestication. Taking out water from wells was repetitive. We built motors to pump the water out. Stitching clothes was mundane. We built sewing machines. Calculations were repetitive, boring, inefficient. We built calculators to do so. We built computers to make it better. We taught computers that, hey, now we can rather program computers. And that's why we're making our lives simpler by the day. And that's what is so beautiful about us as a species, as a human species. And that's amazing, right? So as a knack, humans have this ability. We can very clearly identify the repetitives and the mundanes, and we replace it with something much more efficient so that we get time to do something meaningful. If it was not for that knack, we would still be rubbing sticks to create fire. We don't do that anymore, right? We have matchsticks to get it done very easily, right? So given this, we have to know that whenever we find any work, literally any work, as mundane or repetitive, as boring or tedious or inefficient, we will find out a way to replace it with something much better, giving us the time to focus on something meaningful. With meaningful in mind, let me tell you this, that we as civilization, we as humans, we crave meaningful work, and it is very evident from the way we switch companies. We switch companies because we get bored by doing that same thing again and again. If a company does not give us meaningful work, what do? We switch. We switch with the hope that other company will give us meaningful work. So if we are there because we all crave meaningful work, it's very clear that when that work itself becomes tedious or mundane, we would find a way to automate it, right? Which is where understand this, over time, every single job, I'm not just talking about coding over here, every single activity that we do becomes mundane and we find a better way to do it. So every job over time will be eradicated, but it does not mean that we would not have anything else to do. There would be new things that we would be focusing on, right? It's really important for us to understand this, right? Okay, so when the jobs from software engineering domain will go, like for example, like software engineering jobs didn't exist until late 80s, right? No one knew like we could program computers. That when that came up, a new set of jobs came up, and now we are talking about it, that hey, will AI replace our jobs? Will AI replace programming or not, right? So it's clear that programming jobs will vanish, but the real question is when. It's definitely not going to happen overnight. You have to understand it's a really long process. For example, the activities that I mentioned, it took us quite a bit of time to get rid of that. And to be honest, we have not, like, they still exist in some proportion. For example, when someone says that AI will eat your job, understand this. It is not going to happen overnight. The complete eradication will happen over a really long time. So don't go very berserk about it that AI is going to eat me, so why should I even work? Right? But it's important to understand that every single job will be getting replaced or will be getting eradicated somewhere down the line. But it does not mean it would happen overnight. Right? So it's important to understand this. And what we have done is we have seen AI do a lot of stuff. We have seen AI writing a book. We have seen AI producing songs. We have seen AI producing music. We have seen AI automatically editing videos. We have seen AI doing generative digital art and even programming. So the question is, what will AI replace? If it's not going to happen overnight, what is AI going to replace? So this is where what we should understand is job hierarchy. Now, job hierarchy is always a pyramid where majority of people always do mundane tedious work. Now this mundane tedious work is relative. It's not that it's absolute mundane that I like anyone else can do, but it's more of that, hey, it's relatively mundane within that pyramid, right? And now in that pyramid, as you climb higher, you are doing more and more meaningful job. The automation will always start eating up from the bottom. We have seen it with industrial revolution, where how the repetitive and mundane task was automated by machines. Industrialization is a classic example of that. Now understand this, when I talk about this pyramid, it does not mean that the CEO sits at the top and the software engineer one sits at the bottom. It's more about the kind of impact, output and outcome your work brings to the organization. That's how your work is meaningful. If your work is meaningful, you are not at the bottom of the pyramid. So you need to understand what this job, like where you are placed in this job hierarchy. And I'm again iterating, it's not a designation hierarchy. It's about the quality of the work that you are doing. The advancements that would happen, not just with AI, but anything, would start eating up from the base of this pyramid. And I'll give an example. No code tools didn't exist 5 years back, but now they are part of our life. SaaS offerings were not very common. Now you can find SaaS offering for virtually everything, right? And you could see that the kind of automation that has gone in, the kind of simplicity that has gone in, has just made our lives, it's eating from the bottom, right? Infrastructure, people used to host on-prem infrastructure. Now there is cloud. That is still all of this is still happening. The bottom, what gets eaten up, the mundane, the repetitive, the tedious one gets eaten up, right? So that we find meaningful ways, like AWS expert or GCP expert didn't exist, but now there are proper certifications for that, right? You need to understand, when something goes away, something new comes up, because humans know how to survive. It's our ability, right? So at the end, understand this, we all are part of this pyramid. We are placed somewhere. Even we don't know where we are placed. Right? It's just that things will start eating up from the bottom. You just have to ensure that you are not at the base of the pyramid. That's it. That's all you have to ensure, that you are constantly adding value, doing impactful work and staying not at the bottom of the pyramid. That's really important to know. So, will AI replace programmers? Let's come to this question. Given the way the AI is advancing, we would definitely see we are seeing programmers becoming more and more productive, and AI becoming smarter. We are now seeing how AI can automatically improve our code quality. It can help us debug issues. It can understand the code that we are writing. Right? All of these things that we as humans were good at doing, now AI is helping us. It's not replacing us yet. It is helping us understand. It is spitting out that, hey, this is what this code is doing. And our brain is processing what the text that it spit out. Now the thing is that when it would have its own conscious, kind of quote unquote consciousness, when it understands what it spit out, that's where things would start to change. But the thing is that with this, the programmers becoming more and more efficient, we would see companies needing fewer and fewer employees. This exact same thing happened with Industrial Revolution, where you would have thousands of employees or thousands of workers working in factories got replaced by machines, and now there are a bunch of supervisors supervising machines, right? And that's something very similar would happen with AI creeping in, right? So when we say, will AI replace us? Now this is where you need to understand where you are drawing the line. When we say replace, are you talking about partial replacement or complete eradication? Complete eradication cannot happen overnight. It would happen over decades. I'm not even saying years. It would happen over decades. But partial replacement, you would start to see. You are seeing companies laying off. You are seeing companies requiring fewer and fewer people to do that exact same thing. 100 people used to require to code an e-commerce app. Now 5 engineers needed, but you can just use Shopify to host your application, right? So a lot of these things have already been happening, but with AI, it just got a little more boost. You need to understand is that we were already part of this revolution where more and more tools were being created to enable one-person companies. But now with AI, it's just taking it to the next level, right? That even those 1%, like the tools that were enabling 1% companies, they are also becoming more and more efficient. So which is where you need to understand that complete eradication takes a really long time, because we still see carpenters and blacksmiths, and they still exist even after industrial revolution and so much of automation, so much of machines, right? So you need to know that AI will eat the world, not denying that, but you need to know it happens, like complete eradication happens it happens over a really long time. And now the best part and the worst part is that with us using LLMs or any AI tool, it's becoming smarter by the day. Now it would start coding things out correctly. Up until now, we see AI is hallucinating, giving us stupid answers, random stuff here and there. But over time, they would hallucinate lesser. They would have improved accuracy. And then as humans, we would be there to verify the correctness of it. That's what our job would be. Exactly what happened with Industrial Revolution. When workers were replaced by machines, we got new jobs, supervisors, who supervises machines and ensures that, hey, temperature is correct, this setting is correct. Machine is doing the job. Have you seen the blacksmiths now mining the steel and doing this and like moving the earth here and there to mine stuff? No, it's all machines who are doing it. And earlier, to move or to dig a hole, you needed 50 people, like you needed 10 to 15 people working 2 or 3 days to dig a big hole. Now you can do it with a digger very easily. And that's the beauty of it. The number of people doing that repetitive mundane work would be far fewer, because you are now more efficient in doing it, right? So given that as a state, what would this person do? Like, what would our job be? Our job in the immediate sense would always be to ensure correctness, because at the end, the software is going to power a business. You would have customers. Customer is not interacting with AI and saying, yeah, I'm buying your subscription. It's interacting with you as a company. So it's your responsibility to ensure that you are not screwing up your customer. So which is where when something goes down, your customer would scold you, and you cannot just blame it on AI that, hey, AI did it. I did not do anything there. So which is where you are making money as humans. You are the one who are responsible for uptime and correctness and whatnot. So similar to how we have supervisors, we would have something similar over here. And I'm just oversimplifying it. You would still need coders. You would still need engineers who can engineer stuff, but you would require far fewer of them. Right? But then this means that when something is taken out, a new set of jobs, a new set of domains, a new set of things would come out. And we still don't know what that would be, but we would figure it out anyway. Right? Okay. So performance, correctness, conformance to established design, all of this, like we have to take care of. Like there is no denying this. But always, I'm iterating it one more time, that this will not happen overnight. So stop being paranoid about it. Eradicating something takes a really long time. Replacing an entire job family like engineers, like software developers and programmers, is a huge thing, and it cannot just happen in a Thanos' snap. Don't worry about it, right? So apart from this, it's important to know that what lies immediate in the future. Engineers are becoming more efficient, but coding, you ask any seasoned engineer, they would say coding is just 10%. 90% of my day goes into understanding users, understanding product, understanding design, breaking out the basically breaking down the task, doing stakeholder management and velocity tracking, and so much and so more, right? Because at the end, humans are working with humans. AI is an aid at the moment. So what's immediate in the future? That we would become more efficient, and we would be required to generate substantial amount of output as part of our work. But don't worry about eradication so soon. It's okay, right? But always understand, every time, every single job over time, maybe decades, maybe centuries, it will eradicate, right? But do we want to be paranoid about it? Not really. We would always find different avenues to do meaningful job. The meaning would change, but We are still yet to figure out what that meaningful job would be. So, should you worry? Should you worry? Yes, you should. But to what degree? You definitely don't want to be paranoid about it that, hey, now my job is gone. Like eventually AI will eat that up, so I won't do anything. It's easy to daydream. It's easy to create conspiracy theories around it and to live in our own little sweet world. But the reality is different. Overnight eradication will not happen. So understand this, where you should put your energy into. So understand this, that the eating up will always happen from bottom to top. You have to ensure you are not at the bottom. You have to ensure the work that you are doing is meaningful, is impactful, no matter what. So here are few things that you should do. And just one thing, understand this, we are in the middle of AI revolution, just like how people back in 1980s, or rather basically back in 70s or 1700s, where the industrial revolution happened. What happened is the workers who were doing that manual thing got scared. We are getting scared in a very similar fashion. We are fortunate to be living in this space where this transition is happening. We don't know what lies in the future, right? But we definitely know it's going to be exciting. It's going to be very interesting to see how things transpire. But here are a few things that you should do. First of all, upskill. You'd hear this term a lot, but what does upskill mean in this age? Given the stage of your career, upskilling would mean different things to you. An early engineer might want to explore programming AIs, understanding deep learning and whatnot. A seasoned folk might want to become specialists in the domain that they are working on currently, because it's hard to switch domain after a very long time that you spend in your career, right? And when we say that you have to create an impact, what does this mean? You have to look beyond a framework. You have to look that, hey, okay, it's okay that I know a framework, but at that you have to be a problem solver. That it's not about the language, it's not about a framework, it's about you knowing, given a problem, how to solve it. Because that's when you would be able to bring quick output and outcomes for your organization. But you definitely have to be really good at something. Domain specialization will be really important in the future. Right now, generalists still strive. Their domain specialization, having expertise in something would be required, but while having a generalist mindset that you can switch domains if required. And building an ability to tackle tougher problems is, I feel, would be the life, universe and everything. Because if you cannot solve tougher problems, because easy problems are solved by AI, tougher problems you would have to solve, right? So building an ability, building a knack to tackle tough problems head on will be really important. Now, becoming an engineer, not just a developer. See, there's a huge difference between an engineer and a developer. A lot of people disagree to that, but engineer is someone who would dive deep into stuff and can switch domains if required. A developer is just about developing applications. There is a slight intersection between the two, but think of the mindset. Think of a mindset of a problem solver. Solve problems, tackle hard problems. It's really important, and try to be better or make yourself better every single day. That would be really essential. The world will become hyper competitive, and I'm not at all denying this. The future seems scary. The intention was not to scare you all off. The intention was to ensure that no one has their eyes closed to what's happening around, thinking, hey, we are safe. Because I work at FANG, I am safe. No, not at all. It's because you are there to bring an impact, you are safe. You have to ensure that you are not at the bottom of the pyramid. You are slightly above, because when the eating happens, then layer by layer it would start trimming off. And it would happen eventually. And it's not, I'm talking about overnight, and I'm again reiterating, it's not overnight that the entire job industry would be switched here and there. It will take time for us to do complete eradication. You will get breathing space. You will get time to get adjusted to something else. But keeping an eye open to that is really important. So again, I do not intend to scare you, but it's more about being aware of what's happening around. It's extremely important for you to upskill. It's extremely important for you to become better engineer every single day, who does not just add value through coding at the moment, because coding, we definitely foresee that coding is going to be kind of eradicated first, because you would still require to tell AI what needs to be done. So coding is the new mundane. So don't just rely on coding. Think of problem solving. A true problem solver, what I feel, would see this as a problem with AI and would try to solve it. Right? So don't be scared, be open, be optimistic about future. Think of becoming a better engineer every single day. See what's happening around. Does not mean you would have to switch domain right away, but open your eyes and stay awake. Right? That's really important for you to know what's happening, what's not. You just cannot live in your own bubble. And yeah, it might. I apologize if I would have scared you, but this is what I think of what AI would be. This is what I think how our words would pan out, or how our world would pan out post AGI. But as engineers, we don't know if the same domain, like obviously industries evolve. We have seen a huge growth in our industry in just mere 30-40 years. We have seen tremendous growth, and the growth of and the growth will exponentially increase, right? So it's always better to think of yourself as problem solvers and not someone who is stuck to a particular tech and domain and whatnot. It's okay, like it's better to be specialist in one, but having that flexibility to switch is really important. And this is what my take is about, will AI replace us programmers? So in a gist, not anytime soon, but be open, because we don't know how quickly things advance, and think of yourself as a problem solver rather than restricting yourself to a specific domain. And yeah, that's all what I wanted to talk about in this one. Right? If you found it interesting, give this video a thumbs up. If you guys like the channel, give this channel a sub. And I'll see you in the next one. Thanks a ton.